So in the last episode of the garden news that I did, episode 14, I started the episode saying how it's winter and there's not much, things growing and it's a bit of a bad time of year if you're a gardener. So I told you how I get through the winter when there isn't much outside gardening and plant activity going on. I get through it by poinsettias, basically, in my house. So these two here are from last year, and RClare has got them to survive all through this year. Now, you might be thinking, but aren't poinsettias red? Yes, they are. And what needs to happen now with these is we need to trick it with regards to the light levels. So really easy way to do that is put them in a cardboard box at night, and that will make these leaves start to turn red, which is the reason that we have poinsettias. Another thing we've got, we've been feeding it with rainwater that we collect from the backyard. Well, it's Ruby's Venus flytrap. It's not looking amazingly healthy, to be honest with you. However, it is flowering, so I don't know an awful lot about these flytraps. Perhaps because it's flowering, it thinks it's done its job and it's stopped plant growth because it's gone into flower production. So perhaps we should nip that flower off. I don't know. I need to research that. There's the poinsettia I bought the other day. Oh yeah. Another thing that's doing really well is this spider plant. It's throwing out quite a few runners. There you go, look, and it's got a flower on. You see the flower? And what I need to do with that really is get some little pots and peg down the runners onto it, and then I get lots of new free plants. It's Claire's pelargonium that she's nurtured from a cutting off a massive mother plant that someone gave her. And then the aloe plant, it's got a few pups around it, but look, that's flowering as well. That's doing okay. Yeah. Alright, so I've got a few jobs here just on my windowsill. Probably pot up a few aloe pups, peg down some spider plant runners, and do my research to see whether we should have nipped off the flower on Ruby's Venus flytrap. Got another aloe here in the corner. It's got a massive, that's a pup. That can well come out. That's ready to go into a pot all of its own, just as its own plant, that. And then the mother plant's huge. Really big, thick leaves on that. That's doing really well. Yeah, I've just consulted my extensive research library. Google. What? Come on, let's be honest. We all go on Google. How many plant searches have you done on Google? How do I look after a Venus flytrap? UK. Come on, don't look at me like that. And it turns out that you're not supposed to let them flower if you want the plant to survive, because as I suspected, all the energy is going into those flowers, and they in turn will make seeds, so the plant thinks it's done its job and the plant will die. So I'm gonna have to cut this off. I hope Ruby doesn't mind. There, gone. I'm gonna compost that. That's quite nice actually. Right, yeah, compost. So as you can see, just on our windowsill and the two poinsettia plants that Claire has been expertly nurturing all year long on our kitchen table, we have still got a bit of greenery going, even though I was moaning in that last episode of the garden news that I did. We have still got some greenery going, but as nice as it is, I'd much rather be able to just go into the backyard without having my big coat on, without feeling like I'm Scott of the Antarctic, some intrepid explorer going out braving the horrendous weather, if you know what I mean. And I'm sure many of you would agree. But then again, I can't really moan, because there's people in Canada that watch this, and Norway, where winter is real, winter is dangerous. So, you know, I can't really moan too much. But speaking of people in different countries, and speaking of gardening, one of the things I love about this time of year is that our Antipodean friends, our Australian and New Zealander cousins, are waking up in their gardens, because when it's our winter in the northern hemisphere, it's their summer in the southern hemisphere. So that I also get a bit of a fix from that as well. It helps me get through the winter. So whatever you're doing in your garden or not doing, weather dependent, wherever you are in the world, try and enjoy whatever you can to do with our shared passion of gardening. Just find those moments of joy whenever you can and suck every single bit of joy out of them. So that's what I try and do. I hope you can manage the same. Right then, thinking about it, that was a bit weird, that, wasn't it? Sucking joy out of something. What? Don't suck your plants. Don't suck your plants. Many things are toxic. It just depends on the dose. So don't experiment and find out what the required dose is. Just don't suck your plants. Just try and find happiness. All right, guys.